Well, joining me now to discuss this, as well as our nation's military and the woke agenda that has infiltrated the military, is Congressman Mike Johnson. He serves on the House Judiciary Committee and its Select Committee on the Weaponization of the Federal Government, as well as the House Armed Services Committee. He's part of the House leadership. He represents the 4th Congressional District of Louisiana. Mike, welcome back to Washington Watch. Good to see you.
Hey, Tony. Great to see you as always. Thanks for all you're doing.
Well, thank you for joining us today. All right, I want to play a clip from yesterday. This was the ranking member on the Oversight Committee, Jamie Raskin, responding to comments from the chairman. Clip number 10, please.
Any Republican who describes himself or herself as pro-law enforcement will be in a very strange position to be holding the FBI director in contempt for doing his job. It's part of a war on law enforcement that the GOP is engaged in, and I think it's sad.
Mike Johnson, your response.
I mean, it's almost comical. Jamie Raskin was a classmate of mine. We came into Congress together 7 years ago. He knows better than what he's saying. It's his party, of course, that worked so hard the last couple of years to defund the police, and that's what's given us the alarming crime rate in all these big blue cities that followed their advice. And now he's suggesting that it's somehow against law enforcement or against the rule of law for us to hold the FBI accountable. Tony, we have a serious problem. As you well know, the Department of Justice and the FBI is a division of DOJ, of course. They are not working for all the people anymore. These agencies that we rely upon, these agencies that were designed to protect and serve the American people, are being turned against those very people, at least the ones that have different political viewpoints than the White House and the Democrats in power. And that is a crisis in a republic like ours because people are losing their faith in our system of justice itself.
Now, you serve on the Judiciary Committee, which has oversight of the FBI. Now, it is actually the Oversight Committee that is investigating one of these documents regarding the Biden family. And so they're the ones that are pursuing the contempt charges if these documents are not delivered. Where do you think that's going to go?
Well, you know, they have not been open about sharing with Congress this critical information. We have, as you know, the latest page in this saga is that we have a credible whistleblower who has been an FBI informant for many years, and everyone acknowledges this person is a credible source. And they say that there is documented evidence that President Biden himself was engaging in a scheme, an alleged, illegal agreement to exchange policy decisions for monetary payments to he and his family. Now, we know there's already a pattern that's been shown that at least 9 members of the Biden family have been paid millions of dollars by foreign nationals, some even involving the CCP, the Chinese Communist Party, some Chinese companies. It's really serious stuff. And where it's going to lead, Tony, is ultimately if the FBI will not allow us to do our constitutional function, which is oversight over these matters, we're going to have to hold those in charge accountable. And that may lead to a contempt charge. I think it probably will, of FBI Director Christopher Wray, because he has shown no interest in allowing us to uphold the rule of law. Instead, he's playing a political game in favor of one party, and we cannot allow that to go forward.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong, Congressman Johnson, but it seems like to me during the Trump administration that federal agencies were tripping over themselves to get documents to Congress. In fact, if I'm not mistaken, I think one of the committees even released private tax information on the former president. So, I mean, I think the casual observer and even the trained eye that I think I have would say there's a double standard here.
There is. And the casual observer includes many of my constituents and all of our constituents in all of our congressional districts. When I'm back home in my district, the 4th District of Louisiana, I hear this everywhere I go, Tony. People are so frustrated by what they're seeing. They're so disturbed by it because they want to know. They ask us every day, who is going to be held accountable? It's not enough just to draw this out into the open and shine light on it. There have to be repercussions for this. Otherwise, these trends will continue. You cannot weaponize all the agencies of the federal government and expect that the people are going to trust that government. But Tony, that's what the evidence that we're uncovering shows.
So let's talk let's talk about that accountability, because if you hold the director of the FBI in contempt, it would be the Department of Justice, I assume, that would do something with that, and they're not going to touch that. The really only power that the Congress has is the power of the purse. And I can see what Raskin is really setting the stage for. If you begin to pull the purse strings when it comes to the FBI and the Department of Justice, they're going to say the Republicans are defunding the police.
Yeah, it's a joke. Now you've heard us talking openly about this very issue, remembering, of course, as you're noting here, we only have the majority. The Republicans only have the majority in one house of Congress right now. It is a slim majority, as everyone knows. So we don't have the authority, even if we did have both houses of Congress, to perp walk anybody. We don't have the ability to put people on trial, to indict them or anything. We can put the facts on display for the American people. We can put those individuals on trial in a court of public opinion, but beyond that, it's the purse strings. And so we're going to use the power of the purse. That's a critical function. The founders in their wisdom gave that ability to us, and it's an Article 1 function that we intend to use. And what does that mean in this case? Well, the FBI, for example, their greatest item on their wish list is this brand new mega headquarters they want to build. It's going to cost north of $500 million by some estimates, $1 billion. They're probably not going to get that funding if we have our say. Some of these junkets that hire up top officials at the FBI get to take and fly to conferences in Hawaii and then overseas, they're probably not going to get that funding anymore, because if they can't uphold the basic Bill of Rights, the basic constitutional freedoms, and uphold the system of justice that they're required to do, they don't deserve the precious treasure of the American people. And if they want to say that's defunding the police, they know that's nonsense. We are trying to get the FBI to heel the will of the people.
Well, now, some of your colleagues up there on the other side of the aisle never let the truth get in the way of their statement. So, I mean, they may make those comments.
Exactly.
But I want to go back to your other point about, look, the courtroom of public opinion. And I don't want to sidestep the importance of that, because you're not going to get it from the media. We've already seen how the media is, treating the two parties differently. I mean, the media has become a part of the left. That's their, the propaganda wing of the left. So the outcome of this, and I'm going to say very blatantly, is that the American people, the conservative voter, needs to pay attention to this, and the correction comes in the election, where you actually would have an executive in position, a president, who will then use the executive powers to enforce the law and prosecute those who have violated the law. So this really should become a campaign issue.
Absolutely right. And, we're not doing this for partisan purposes. We're doing this because we have a constitutional responsibility to uphold the law, to maintain these institutions. So we can draw attention to it. We can use that power of the purse that we talked about, and we can change the laws. We're going to bring legislative reforms to make sure this stuff doesn't get out of control like this going forward, to do everything within our power. But at the end of the day, you're exactly right. The ultimate recourse that the people have in our government, of, by, and for the people themselves, is the ballot box. And we have to elect a president and majorities in both houses of Congress who understand how critical these foundations are. If we lose these foundations, the system of justice itself, Tony, we have no republic. And the stakes could not be any higher. I don't usually speak in terms of existential threats, but I can't imagine a bigger threat than this, when the people just shrug their shoulders and say, it doesn't matter anymore. We have a chance, and we better vote those values and those principles, or we're all going to be in big trouble.
And folks, that's exactly what we say here. Pray, vote, stand. We've got to pray for this nation because it is in serious trouble. We need to vote our biblical values, and then we need to stand for the truth no matter what. Mike, I want to switch gears. We just got about 4 minutes left. I want to go to another important committee that you serve on. You serve on the House Armed Services Committee. I want to play a clip from the chairman of the Joint Chiefs, General Mark Milley. He was on CNN with Jake Tapper. Clip number 3.
We're about fighting and winning on battlefields. And we're all about readiness. We're all about readiness now and readiness in the future and modernization. I think the accusations of woke are grossly over-exaggerated.
Your response to that?
Listen, General Milley has appeared before us many times in the House Armed Services Committee. Secretary Austin has as well. We've asked these questions directly and under oath, and they continue to insist that there's no woke agenda in the military. Look, the facts obviously show the opposite. In the academies and, amongst our forces and what the Pentagon is pushing down the line, it all comports with the woke agenda. And, they were allowing drag shows on military installations until about a week ago. We asked about that over and over. We pressed them on it. Finally, they tried to do it quietly. They issued some sort of order that, this can no longer be allowed. But why was it ever allowed in the first place? I mean, the curriculum that's being taught at the academies is filled with this kind of stuff, CRT and the rest of it. And we know it's happening. We don't even need whistleblowers for this. We have men and women in uniform who openly report what they're being taught and told. And so, look, there's no place for it. It does affect readiness. It affects recruitment. The recruitment numbers are almost at record low levels right now. We're way below the numbers that we need to maintain our force. We need to be adding more, not missing our recruiting numbers and deadlines. And so all of that is contributing to the problem, because you have a lot of young men and young women who do not want to sign up for this. They don't want to go and be indoctrinated. Many of them want to serve their country, and they're young patriots, but they don't want to be involved in this military we hear all along with this leadership. And so we've got to reform that. We have to get the military back to its critical mission of protecting the nation. This is a dangerous time. Our adversaries are empowered because they see weakness from the White House and from those in charge. And it's a serious, serious situation.
So again, remedied ultimately by an election, hiring an administration that understands that we are going to secure this country through military strength, at least being able to show it. But in the meantime, I go back to the congressional purse, because you hold the purse as Congress. The National Defense Authorization Act is going to be coming through the committee, and you're going to be determining how this money is spent. Is this going to be an issue of discussion with military leaders once again?
It will be, and it has been. And, you're right. We are scheduled to mark the NDAA up in about 2 weeks or less. And this is going to be a top issue of discussion. I can tell you the majority side and the NDAA, the Republicans, have made this a top priority. We're all deeply concerned about it, because we hear the quiet complaints of the men and women who are wearing those uniforms, who are asked to say and do these things that they know are wrong and they don't believe in. And it's affecting the morale in the military. It's affecting ultimately what we're able to do in terms of national security and the defense of our country, because you can't have that kind of disarray, I guess is the best word, because they're pushing social and radical social leftist agendas in the military. It's a dangerous thing. It really, really is.
It is. Congressman Mike Johnson, always great to have you on the program. You're a blessing to the country, and we're grateful for your leadership on Capitol Hill.